the whip. Hi, everyone. It's been a while.
I was watching a stream on my phone and it's lagging.
How's it going?
Yeah, it's going good, I think.
Yeah. Awesome.
Welcome to what we would normally say is the RetroBlasting Saturday live stream, but it's the Sunday live stream today. It's a special return to form for sort of a, what would we call this? A one-night concert. It's a rare event. It's
a reunion tour.
It's a reunion tour.
Reunion tour.
Yeah, we have Analog Toys literally with us in the studio, and Melinda's back at the station.
I still exist.
She's here. If you watched her Dreamland episode with Conrad yesterday,
my Dreamland subverted the whole timing of the Saturday live stream because that's what Dreamland does,
and that's fine.
Well, I didn't really want to do the stream on Saturday because I didn't get here till fairly late in the day Friday, and wasn't sure how quickly I would adjust. I ended up adjusting to the time zone pretty well. But yeah, just in case, I was like, let's not do a stream on the first day.
Sure, yeah. So everybody, we hope you're doing well. How many people are here so far?
We've got 108 people.
Wow.
So thanks everybody. Sal sent us a very early before the show super chat.
Wow.
Then thank you so much. He says, I'm waking up specifically to send my love along, but no promises I'll be able to stay awake. So here's a few shekels toward getting that next.
If you click it, it'll show up on the screen.
Custom. Sorry.
Yeah.
It's been a while. I forgot how to do this. What's that? A noked up custom? I don't know.
Oh, knocked up custom.
Knocked up.
Yeah, it's
he's the guy who does all the Chrome.
Yeah, he does all the Chrome stuff. He's Brian. He's brilliant. Brilliant.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sal knows what you're hunting for at Joe Fest.
Oh, I know.
He knows you too well.
That's right.
And then Master Son says, well, if they don't mention Spiral Zone, they will get a strongly worded comment from me. So Spiral Zone.
I can mention Spiral Zone if you want, Master Son. What do you want me to say about them, though?
They're Earth's most powerful soldiers, and they're Earth's last chance against the Spiral Zone.
Get in the zone, Spiral Zone.
That's AutoZone.
It works, though. I mean, it works.
Yeah, when you go into this vortex that's being spewed by the evil people, you basically just get these big Weinstein birthmarks.
It's like in Zelda. It's like in Zelda, you have the.
It's like coming to Atlanta.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, exactly.
Matt Movie says, so happy seeing you three together. Have a great time at Joe Fest, and we're bummed that you can't join us, Matt. But yes.
Yeah, we miss you.
Yes,
we miss you a lot.
Yeah. So anyway.
Yeah.
What are we talking about today? I can't imagine.
Tony came up with this idea. I'm not putting the onus of failure on you. I just want you to have the honor of introducing this theme today.
Yeah, well, we had a chat a couple of weeks before I came over just to figure out a few logistics of the trip and when I was going to get here. And I said to Michael, I would love to do a traditional kind of RetroBlasting live stream, and we'll come up with a topic. And then it was a few days later. It had occurred to me that this weekend was Memorial Day weekend.
Yep.
I thought, well, what better thing to do than to talk about military toy lines of our childhood and specifically kind of how they influenced me and which ones influenced me the most, and which a lot of them did to a degree. So,
well, let's kick it off with you. I think we all encountered at some point, no matter what country we lived in, the little army men, the little military men on the plastic guys with the stands, because they were bucket of soldiers. Like you could, even if you didn't have some, the kid next door to you had some. And that was like sort of the first taste of, for me, toys with a military theme. But I knew that there were bigger and better things out there.
Yeah.
So how did it unspool for you? Because you were kind of like, you were that kid that you had an old soul. You liked Action Man.
Yeah.
Even though it was already several years old.
Yeah, because my brother's 6 years older, so he was born in 71. And my dad has a much younger brother,
right,
who grew up with the six. So my uncle's Action Man stuff got handed down to my brother, and then all of that stuff got handed down to me. And I was always very frustrated as a kid that stuff wasn't as accessible anymore, available in toy stores. But I think my first memory of military toys is plastic toy soldiers. My dad loved buying them for me because he's actually a collector of die-cast metal toy soldiers.
Right.
And growing up as a kid, my dad would give me the plastic toy soldiers to play with, and then he would buy the really nice ones for himself and put them in a cabinet in the corner. So it all really started there. And my dad was very much into historical war movies. He was really into all the Zulu stuff and that kind of thing. And right throughout my childhood, I had interests in other toy lines, like, I had like a 2-year period where it was all Masters of the Universe and a brief dalliance with Transformers. So that didn't go very well for me.
Me neither.
And I was always interested in other stuff, particularly if it was linked to cartoons that were on. So, I was very tempted by Mask. I think the only toy I ever had was Condor. But really for me growing up, even as a young kid, I knew I couldn't grow up to be He-Man.
Right.
I knew I couldn't grow up to be a Jedi Knight. And then when it came to toy lines, I knew I could grow up to be a soldier. And that's what I always, it wasn't just military, it was very much army.
Yes,
I wanted to be army. And even though I was heavily invested in Action Force / G.I. Joe and very much I loved Rambo when that hit the UK in 87. Loved the whole Rambo toy line. Action Man was always the one that really stood out for me because the Action Man toys were Parachute Regiment, Royal Marine, Grenadier Guard. I was like, those are actual career options for a young child aspiring to do something a bit more adventurous with his life when he grew up. So that's why that was always the mainstay and very much so the one that influenced me the most. So.
Well, and you were even trying to collect them after Action Man transitioned out and became Action Force. You were trying to go back and find more Action Man.
We were having this conversation yesterday. I was telling Michael and Melinda that Action Man ended in 1984, and around 1986, I was still asking my parents for Action Man stuff. They don't make it anymore. And I think it was in 1986, my grandparents had found me the Action Man talking commander with the British officer's cap and everything. They found him in a newsagent's, just leftover stock. And I was over, my grandparents were like the greatest people in the world because they found me like a really desirable Action Man figure 2 years after the line had ended. So, I was always trying to find more of that. And you could find it at markets and things like that. But it just wasn't around in toy stores anymore.
Given the timing, that means that you were probably collecting Action Force as you were trying to find more Action Man. Is that about right?
I was collecting Action Force and Action Man at the same time when it was still available.
Yeah.
I always remember the first Action Force figure I got was the Orange Frogman.
Oh, well, I'll bring him over to the table.
And it was fun when my mum came to visit me in Port Hedland not all that long ago. It would have been 2 years ago. We were in a different house, and she came out and she was walking around the collection room having a look, and she's seen my toys before. But I think from the last time she saw the collection to this particular trip 2 years ago, I had acquired the Orange Frogman. And my mum's, and it stopped her dead in her tracks because she all of a sudden had this memory from 40 years ago. It's like, I remember going into like a newsagent's with you, and they had all the Action Force figures on the pegs when they first came out in 82. And you desperately wanted one. And my mum was like, I literally just got my pay packet, which in those days was in a little yellow envelope. It was a few rolled up notes and some coins, and she had just enough coins to buy me that figure. And it was she almost had tears in her eyes.
Yeah.
It was like this vivid memory that she had not thought about for 40 years.
Right.
And even, my mum's not into toys, but she appreciates what I collect. And but seeing that just reminded her of this memory of me when I was. It
was like a time machine for her. It took her.
She was like, back when you were a nice guy.
Well, also means that the effort wasn't wasted, in the sense that it wasn't a kid that demanded a lot of stuff growing up that then didn't value it as an adult. Like, in other words, that moment, giving up those coins actually meant, it set you on a path and meant something to you 30, 40 years later,
I have a ton of super chats.
Well, go right ahead. Go right ahead. Yeah, please.
Just to stay caught up a little bit. So, A World Made of Cardboard says, it's great to see you all together. Thank you so much. Master Sun 42 says, retro hosts, check. Toys on display, check. Moon pies, check. Special guest Brit Aussie, check. Thanks for Spiral Zone shout out. So you're welcome, Master Son.
welcome.
Scuba Pete says this is awesome.
Well, Scuba Pete is awesome. That's probably he's probably feeding off his own energy.
Bath Soap says, you guys have any thoughts on Mattel Muscle?
Well, Mattel Muscle was, while its format was similar to Army Men as far as their collectability and scale, they were more like wrestling fantasy.
Yeah,
they were like wrestling fantasy and creatures. At some, as I bite my own tongue, at some point in the near future, I would like to talk about Muscle, because as I've collected vintage toys over the years, Muscle figures just show up in random lots.
Yeah.
And I end up with this massive Ziploc bag of them that I did not intend to buy.
Yeah, stuck between the wheels of vehicles.
Yeah. So I've got this bag of them. So eventually I do need to talk about them. So thank you for the reminder. I need to do that.
Let's see. Johnny Strato says, it's good to see you guys back together again. Yes. Chronically Online says, hey, all looking good. Tony, hope you keep coming back, because this is the second year I'm missing Valicon. Hope to say hello soon. Have fun, guys.
Thank you, sir. And we'll do the Attack of the Clones commentary here soon. So for anybody that's curious, Chronically Online and I did a commentary track for The Phantom Menace. It was a very brutal ask of him to ask me to sit and watch that movie.
I barely got him to watch it myself.
But yeah, we'll be doing Attack of the Clones soon as well.
Yeah, and I just listened to a really interesting podcast on his channel where he had Ryan on, and I had kind of missed it. Ryan shared the link with me, and I downloaded it, and I actually listened to it as I was on one of the flights. There was 3 flights to get here. So
full confession, I still need to listen to it, but Ryan is always a riot, so I need to.
Oh no, Ryan was terrible on it. But Chronically Online, really articulate speaker, great accent, and some interesting things to say. No, it would, Love you, Ryan.
Scott Hughes says, remember, Memorial Day is not about hot dogs, potato salad, or 3-day weekends. It's not even about currently serving or living veterans. It's about those who paid the ultimate price for our freedom. So, yes, and I have to say, we were just at the store. We were showing Tony America by taking him to Walmart. And I was like, look at all these fireworks. I was like, I don't really understand the idea of shooting fireworks off for Memorial Day. Like,
well, I kind of
4th of July, I get it, but.
Well, I just thought they were taking a big run up to 4th of July, like in Australia, when as soon as the Halloween stuff's gone, the Christmas stuff comes out.
Right.
It's like 3 months away.
Yeah. Here it's strange. When we were growing up, Memorial Day was the cemetery ceremonies, the planting of the flag solemnly.
It's more solemn.
Yeah, and now suddenly it's like just another barbecue party, and it's like I think we've lost the plot here.
But I think people confuse it with Veterans Day.
Yeah.
And it's like. That's really cringy. It's really bad. Jason Anderson says, man, Tony got the good hand-me-downs. I got bell-bottom pants and shirts with fly collars. You're kind of like Will Smith in that song from years ago. Parents just don't understand. Action Pop Dad says, all the cool kids love Action Man. Just saying. Great to see you guys together.
Action Pop Dad, I want to tell you that Tony set up this entire tablescape. Like, in other words, there's only like 4 people in my life that I would be like, yeah, just do whatever you want to do down here, grab whatever you want to grab. I don't care.
And it's not me.
That's not true. You're one of the 4. He's one of the 4. Anyway, so Tony picked everything out for this and set it up just the way he wanted it. So glad you're enjoying it.
Scott Knudsen says, I got into 12-inch G.I. Joe just as it was changing to being the adventure team, but inherited a load of the military stuff from my brother. I had the best armed adventure team in the neighborhood.
Yep.
Adventure team is one of those that a lot of kids' older brothers had it when I was growing up, and so I'd go over to play with the younger kid because he was my age, and the older brother would have these like tall bearded Joes and the Sasquatches and stuff.
In a box with Steve Austin.
Yes. And Steve Austin's always in that capsule. He's always
A World Made of Cardboard says, I'm convinced that the continuation of Leonard's The Core, World Peacekeepers, and Toys R Us's Real Heroes are proof that Hasbro missed an opportunity with G.I. Joe.
Well, I'm so glad you brought up World Peacekeepers because Keith Knight and Scott Hughes, it's a long delayed video, but it's coming soon. Now that I've done the Playmobil A-Team, let me show you this. It's military themed, so it's part of the show.
Damn it, Michael got up and I don't have a drink.
I mean, this is non-alcoholic, but
That's your first one all weekend.
Well, this doesn't have to do. So you won't be able to see what's in here because I've already opened it to cannibalize the parts. But they sent me a World Peacekeepers patrol vehicle that's rather hard to find these days. Military motorbike and sidecar, which I've already started the conversion into the Last Crusade German motorcycle and sidecar for the indie figures. So I'll be doing the video on that soon. So thank you, Keith Knight and Scott Hughes.
World Made of Cardboard also says, I thought a certain robot destroyed that tank.
Well, I can also, well, actually that one's buried. I can't actually do that.
It disintegrated it.
Disintegrated it. That's right. Yeah, the K1 robot is safely in the storage room right now in the Doctor Who box.
Yep.
Jay Wood says, does anyone know where Vader is?
Yeah,
He's been sulking in the corner since I arrived.
he refuses to say anything, but I'll get him. He said he's not going to say a word on this show. He's mad.
The cats are friendlier than Broken Vader.
And that's not saying much because Winston has literally tried to kill Tony about 17 times now.
Yeah.
I feel like he's threatened because Tony's testosterone level must just be so high that Winston can like feel it. He's like, I don't like this butch dude in my space. I'm going to murder him. So that's what's going on. Go ahead. Come on in. It's sort of like having Winston near you, isn't it, Tony?
Nah, he's harmless.
Now we can't access the moon pies. Scott Hughes says, just because, great to have a traditional RetroBlasting live stream. Thank you, Michael, Melinda, and Tony.
Thank you for the super chat.
Thank you so much for the very kind super chat, dude. Almost done with these. So Michael Mitchell said, I've missed the old live streams. Great to see you all. Welcome to the States, Tony. And last one is Michael Hinkson, who says, good morning from a cool and cloudy Reno. Tony, welcome back. Favorite military toy was the G2 Megatron.
The tank.
Megaton? Am I saying
it's Megatron, but he turned into a tank in G2. I think he just.
I didn't want to say it wrong.
Yeah.
Okay, so wish they would give it an MP update to make it look more like an actual M1A1 Abrams tank.
Yeah, a masterpiece. Yeah, that'd be cool. I wonder why they haven't done it.
So yeah, thank you all so much for the very kind super chats. And
and I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt there that he actually wrote Megatron and his phone's autocorrect.
That's what I'm thinking.
Probably. I just was like, oh, well, I changed it to Megatron. I was like, but maybe it's not Megatron because I don't know what I'm reading.
Watch us all be wrong. And in G2, he was called Megaton, and it's like a Mandela effect.
Yeah. I'm just like, oh my god. Okay.
I remember he was called Megatron. So my first foray into military toys was the G.I. Joe vamp.
Yeah.
I was given it at a very young age, right around the time that I was getting my first Star Wars figures. And it was straight arm clutch with the vamp. I still have straight arm clutch. Next door neighbor's kid stole my vamp several years later because he was a jerk. But anyway, so that was the beginning of it. But I was so heavily into Star Wars that G.I. Joe kind of trickled in. For some reason, for my 5th birthday, I got straight arm grunt and straight arm flash and the APC.
Yep.
And I had that for a long time. And then I told you the story yesterday, 1984, I got the Millennium Falcon for my 6th birthday that summer. And then Christmas is rolling around and you get your big ask. And it was like, okay, well, what am I going to ask for? What are my options? Well, the big vehicle for 84 Star Wars was the Imperial Shuttle.
Everyone loves that thing.
I know.
In my YouTube comment section, anyway.
I was not.
I don't get it.
I was not enamored with it. I was like, I like having it in my collection, but at the time as a child, I was like, that ship didn't do anything in the movie. It literally took people from point A to point B, and that was it. And it was just kind of like a limo.
Yeah.
I was like, whereas there's this new toy out on the market called the G.I. Joe Killer Whale Hovercraft, and I want that. Like, so that was my first big G.I. Joe, and I still have my photo with it Christmas Day, and I still have it over there. It's my favorite nostalgia G.I. Joe favorite, anything next to the vamp. And after that, the G.I. Joe started coming in more regularly. Spirit, Storm Shadow, version 2 Snake Eyes, the Awe Striker. And then once I got over the fact that Mask wasn't going to be very long-lived, the Voltron toys weren't very good, and Silverhawks was a massive disappointment on toy aisles, I went full bore into G.I. Joe.
Yeah.
And then after that, well, but the other thing I should mention while we're talking about military toys, there was another sort of like alternate entrance to getting interested in military toys. And that was just, and I know I've brought this up a lot on the channel recently, but it does deserve, mention. If you were a kid that really liked Raiders of the Lost Ark, then you were being exposed to historical military stuff.
Yeah.
And so the next thing you knew, once you were into G.I. Joe and also any kid that grew up watching Top Gun or something like that. But once you were into that stuff, as you got older, it was, I'm into warbirds, I'm into military history, I'm collecting toys from that. So even though we're talking vintage military right now, there are modern military toys that came out in the late 90s into the aughts, like 21st Century Toys, World Peacekeepers, that are also, something that people should look into.
Yeah, there was a huge resurgence in everything 12-inch came back again.
Yeah.
For the adult collector, the G.I. Joe Classic Collection and all that stuff.
Yep.
I did a video a number of years back about my kind of Christmas memories, and I was trying to compartmentalize, because as we all did with kids, if you had Master of the Universe for a while, it was normally for a certain period, and then you switched to something else. And in that video, I sort of said that 1986 was my Rambo year, because I know for certain 1987 was my Hasbro Action Force year, when we had a year on toy stores without Action Force, and then it came back with Flint and Lady J and all those characters.
Right.
But I did that video a number of years ago, and I was doing some research a while ago, Argos catalogs. Rambo didn't come out in the UK until 1987. The Eco stuff.
Wow.
What really strikes me is I remember everything I got that year from Rambo and Action, and I was like, I was a lucky kid.
Yeah.
I really did well that year, because I had 8 of the Rambo figures, plus the Savage Strike Cycle and the Defender Jeep, all in 1 year. And most of the Action Force line that came out.
Right.
And the Moray and...
Yeah.
So Christmas that year, I got the Moray and the Defender.
Wow. Okay, so...
My memory was always like, that was 2 separate Christmases.
But it was all on the... It was
all one.
Yeah, it's that whole idea of, if you actually look back at when things were released and wherever you lived, you can kind of edit your memories and go, okay, let's separate this. Let's, like I had to determine that. I think I said it in the Bespin Luke video a few years ago, which was that I was always under the impression that I got Bespin Luke finally in late 83. Turns out I wouldn't have gotten Bespin Luke until the tail end of his circulation in 84, which would explain, one, why he was so hard for me to find. But the reason I know that is because I found out that Empire Strikes Back on videotape didn't come out until around that time.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't have been able to rent it to see it, to then get obsessed with it. So yeah. Yes.
So this is an out of order comment, but it came up, and I think it's good right now. So K-Dog Broadcasting says, I'm drawing a blank on other military lines. G.I. Joe seems to be it, except for like the core. Would the A-Team count? Like, so let's list out all of the
we have an A-Team expert right here as far as the toys. Go for it.
Let's list out all the different toy lines that are military from that time period that we can think of too. Like,
yeah, well, I definitely consider the A-Team to be military. They were Vietnam veterans.
Right.
That was very much, and that, again, that's why it was a toy line that I gravitated towards. G.I. Joe, Rambo,
Action Man, Action Force.
Action Man, Action Force. Like, if you're specifically looking at the 80s, like I was walking around in here getting ready for this, and I'm thinking, I actually thought there was a lot more.
Well, some things aren't represented. So like Leonard's the core.
Yep.
There was that line that was trying to get in on the muscles fad called Guts, but they were soldiers.
Yep.
So Guts was one. There was what was the one where it was like army gear that turned into micro play sets. So like you would have like a canteen, but it would turn into, it was like a transformer that turned into a micro play set.
I have no idea.
Okay, we're gonna look these up later. Somebody shouted out in the comments. There was the micro environment army gear. They're very rare now.
Oh, there was all the Eagle Force stuff.
Eagle Force.
I'm cheating by looking
people
at
are
the chat,
people are yelling out Eagle Force.
Yeah, Eagle Force, Sergeant Rock,
Rock,
Spiral Zone.
And Eagle Force was on display in here for a while until they kept like shaking scarily on their stand. I was like,
Army gear.
Army gear. That was it. Yep. And that I feel like there was one right at the end of the 80s that I'm forgetting about.
For me, the end of the 80s for me was always Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and that was when everything went wrong.
MASH. Somebody points out
90s.
MASH is another toy line.
Oh yeah, MASH.
Yeah,
MASH.
But
Korean
you
War.
also have things that I would say is like one step removed. So it's not technically military, but like I'm looking at like Captain Power is kind of looks like it's soldiers of the future.
Yep.
So it's they're soldiers. But it's one step removed because it's not like
it's
military.
It's not
per
based
se.
in reality.
Right.
Not that Leonard's the core or GI Joe or. But they're on Earth and they're supposed to be soldiers in
yeah.
And
then certainly growing up in the UK, Britain's Detail were highly detailed plastic soldiers that were painted and they had a metal base. They were hugely popular in the 80s, and they did. You had like the standard German army, you had the Afrika Korps, the British Desert Fighters, British infantry, Americans, paratroopers, all these different ranges, and you could get the motorbikes and sidecars to go with them. That was a really, really big thing in the UK and went on for years and years and years.
But
so once you move into outer space, does that make it not feel like military?
Yeah, it's kind of out. I mean, even if it's military based like Starship Troopers or something, you're still not,
because like Master Son's like Robotech, and it's like, I mean, they're shooting guns and fighting, and it's a war scenario.
And they
Star
started on Earth, and they have sort of like F-14 Tomcats, but it is sci-fi and space fantasy more than military action. Like I would never say, for example, that the Indiana Jones toy line itself is military. I was saying that as a child, it helped expose me to military themed things that then I I found dedicated stuff for. And like Tony said, once you get into Teenage Mutant Ninja, or depending on your region, Hero Turtles of the late 80s, everybody started chasing that fad. So for a long time throughout the 90s, even as I worked at Toys R Us, there were no military toy lines to be had. It only happened late 90s into the 2000s where things flipped back over. And suddenly you got Soldiers of the World, you got 21st Century Toys, Motorworks, BBI, things like that, World Peacekeepers.
Which a lot of which was aimed at the adult collector.
Yes, absolutely. The other thing that I wanted to mention while we're on the subject of touching into where we are now with military toys is even as World Peacekeepers hangs on through a new label called Click and Play or something like that. There has been kind of a dialing back, except for G.I. Joe Classifieds. And of course, Valor versus Action Force is really holding the line in that regard. You got Marauders Task Force. A lot of these are straight to consumer. However, there's even a competitor in the space against Lego that's trying to keep the military theme alive with building bricks, and that's Kobe out of Poland. And they're doing some amazing work.
They're from Poland?
Yeah. Do you know that Spitfire I showed you is 303 Squadron? And they actually have, the cool thing is they have the name of the squadron and the name of the pilot, the actual historical pilot depicted as a minifigure on the box. So I'll go grab that while everybody's talking. It's right over there. I'll show people.
Have another drink.
Can I get you drinks?
I'm good.
I have a drink. Unless you're going to get us booze.
After show, maybe.
I was kidding.
Yes, very, very much for me as well. As much as I was really into, when I talk about Hasbro Action Force, not Palitoy Action Force, that's obviously after Palitoy had gone away, and then all they did was rebrand G.I. Joe. And we had a comic series to go along with it. And as much as I was, Snake Eyes version 2 was probably my second favorite action figure behind Flint. I like Dusty and all of that. As much as I like that, I knew I couldn't grow up to be Snake Eyes. And I was like, well, I could grow up to be Flint. What is Flint? Okay, he's got a file card. He's a warrant officer. But I had been so well educated by not only the Action Man toy line, but I also collect these magazines called Combat Survival, which used to do like all these really good featurettes about the Royal Marine recruitment course and how the very first issue of this combat survival magazine I got in like 1986. There was this like 5-6 page spread about all the different things you've got to do to become a Royal Marine Commando. And I became obsessed with that because they wore a green beret and Rambo was a green beret. And that's I just went, green beret.
Right.
All these years later, I ended up deciding that, no, the Royal Marines wasn't for me. I didn't want to spend too much time on ships.
Right.
So
I don't blame you.
I went Army. But yes, as much as G.I. Joe is very much a military toy line, it wasn't... like in the 60s it was, you had the Marines, the Army, the Air Force.
Right.
There was more, interesting characters. And that's why, and I'm repeating myself a bit, but that's why just Action Man has had such a long-lasting impression on me.
Yeah.
It was the fact that you could get a Battle of Britain pilot or modern day stuff. I mean, the SAS stuff came out, and then that was I wanted to be in the SAS.
Yeah, Action Pop Dad sent me that guy.
Yeah, Nick.
Yeah, Nick. Yep. This is the Kobe Supermarine Spitfire Mark 5. No, not Mark 5. Yeah, Mark 5B. Beautiful build, real solid, great scaling, and military. It's based on real military. This is a 303 Squadron, actual historical Spitfire. On the box, they even give you the name of the pilot.
That's really cool.
The historical name of the pilot.
And that's all compatible with Lego?
Yep.
I'll tell you what's really cool. Michael showed me this yesterday. Is the actual the face on the minifigure is far superior than the real the plain faces you actually get on Lego.
Yeah.
There's a lot more sort of there's even like sculpting in there. It's not just painted on eyes. It's actually got a molded in nose and everything.
It's got this thing has working flaps, and they even made sure in the build to, even with these elliptical wings, they made sure to try and give you some coverage of the airframe. It's really impressive. So even in brick building systems, the military theme is alive and well. Yeah. Really, really cool.
Super chat time?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Okay. So KBA says, happy Memorial Day. Glad Tony got there safe. Love Michael's shirt. Cammy is the best SF character, and Kylie is the best Cammy.
That's true.
Special Forces character. When I see SF, that's what I think. But I don't think it's Street Fighter.
I was like, I my brain's not working, so I was
she does wear a beret.
Yeah.
King Eric says, will we ever find out what it's like to sit in a DeLorean? So, yes, I'm going to edit together Dreamland from yesterday, which had some technical difficulties, which I won't go into, but yeah, so the audio version of the podcast that I edit, you'll be able to hear if you download that and subscribe to us on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. You'll be able to hear all of Michael's recorded stuff that was not in the YouTube version.
Did you want to put the video versions of those clips on Patreon for the Patreon?
I can, but first I'm going to release it as the podcast so that people will listen to my podcast. Because it is time consuming to edit, so I want to get a payoff.
Sure.
Mutron78 says, just showing some love for two of my favorite YouTubers and Melinda as a fellow heavy metal fan. So thank you so much for the kind super chat. I am not sure how to pronounce that. Icaria? First time I've actually caught a live stream live. Retro plus analog toys equals heaven.
Oh, that's very kind. Thank you so much. Appreciate that.
Sorry if I butchered your name, but thank you for the super chat. Scuba Pete says, whale rocks. Had a good friend come over for bourbon and asked, please say you have it. I had it as a kid.
Yep.
Largo's Lair says, great to see y'all together. I just recently added my first Adventure Team Joe to my collection since I was a kid, hoping to get a Palitoy Action Man to join him soon.
Nice.
I actually added an Adventure Team to my collection. Yes. Well, when did we go to Second Chance Toys? Yesterday?
Yesterday,
Yesterday morning.
Yeah.
I had a nice Mike Power Atomic Man there, who's part of the Adventure Team. I've obviously got the English Atomic Man.
Right.
There's a number of differences, completely different outfit. It was a really nice condition figure, like $65. I was like, I'm taking that home with me. That and a very expensive Yoda.
But you know what? Now you'll never have to look for him again.
I'm in love with that Yoda. It's a really nice condition figure.
Yeah.
And,
it's the one I grew up with, and I thought that when we were starting collecting in the 90s to try and find the other Star Wars vintage stuff before the advent of the internet, the desirable Yoda at that time was the light green with the orange snake Empire one. I grew up with the Jedi one, not knowing that there ever was a different version.
Yep.
And I was like, oh, I got to get that variation. Now it's like, oh, everybody wants the dark skinned, brown snake Yoda. And I'm like, that's the one I grew up with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that was one of my, one of the items on my wants list when I came to the States. And I said to Michael, I want the dark skinned Yoda with the brown snake, the Jedi. And we went into Second Chance Toy, and they literally they had both examples in there. And the one I wanted was double the price of the Empire.
I was shocked how much the Empire was going for.
That's shocking to me.
It was really nice condition.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't, it's the Star Wars figure from the whole with the most accessories.
Yeah.
Nothing else came with 4 accessories.
Right.
Soft goods cloak, belt, cane.
Yeah. And I was always, as a kid, weirded out about the snake, because even though snakes were in Dagobah and even in his house, he never had one draped over his shoulders.
Yeah.
So it was like, is this supposed to just be that way in the package and then you use it as an accessory after the fact? But when we played with Yoda, we never wanted to lose it. So we just kept it around him all the time.
Drew G says, Desert Rat needs to be on the table. No, Tony, I meant the figure. Get off the table.
I didn't even think to bring Desert Rat out.
I'll get Desert Rat.
I'll get it.
I literally put that in there to make Michael get up again.
No, I say that because I'm here on a live stream, but the truth is I did think about that and I went, nah.
That's a little
I'm not promoting
That's
Bobby.
a little too. Well, no, I think it does definitely need to be on the table though.
It's in the thumbnail, so
A World Made of Cardboard says, based on Tony's video, I was impressed how close the Big Ben file card was to reality.
Yeah, they did a lot of research and I was quite fascinated. That's back when Hasbro actually gave a shit,
When was that? Like what?
So it was sometime after Joe Fest, because when I went to Joe Fest last year, I was trying to buy up as many Big Bens as possible. I got a couple. Michael got one for me. He found at Joe Fest, and then a few other people, Scuba Pete and Sal, and a few others, got me some of the variants. And then sometime after I got home, Embargo sent me a box with like all the other variants.
Oh wow!
But then Hasbro have announced the 6-inch classified version, and I was really not happy. It's only digital renders, but I'm not like the choice of weapons is completely wrong for a British soldier, and there's kind of all of these issues, and it's like they're not paying attention to detail with the way they're accessorizing this modern SAS figure. But when because the figure came out in 91, it was one of the later sort of Joes.
Okay.
And you read the file card and it's got all these very accurate details about SAS training. It talks about him being in the Falklands, which the SAS were very prominent during the Falklands campaign of 1982. So, yeah, the people who wrote that file card in 1991 did a lot of research. And then, the Hasbro team now are like, oh, let's give him a gun that a British SAS person would never, ever use. That makes sense.
I mean, it just looks cool. We don't know what it does. We've never even been around a gun.
A double-barreled AR.
Okay.
Literally like 2 barrels side by side like a shotgun, but it's an assault rifle. Like, yeah, that doesn't work.
Did everybody just see Michael dart past? King Eric says, does Melinda have a favorite action figure line? Do I have a favorite? Well, so as a kid, I would have definitely said Masters of the Universe. Because I, like you, Tony, I watched the show every day, like when it was on, and my cousin had them. I didn't have any action figures as a kid, but I definitely loved that whole set. But do you want to go ahead and show your thing?
Well, okay, so the Action Force figures are currently all in a box that's in the storage room that I can't easily get to for the stream. However, Tony has actually been in military toy lines since the late 80s or 1990. If you've ever looked at the vintage Big Ben from the later years of G.I. Joe, one of the best
we were just
figures.
talking about Big Ben.
He looks exactly like Tony Roberts. And so I'm going to use him to represent Desert Rat for this
and you
stream.
don't even realize like how perfect that is because we literally just talked about Big
Well, there you go.
Yep.
There you go.
So
Well done, dear.
thank you.
But no, I guess probably now I would say Force of Freedom, like Rambo just because it's Stallone, and
and I think it's such an underrated toy line.
I do too.
Like I'm going to say underrated. Like you'll see it online on eBay now, and okay, yeah, some of the Wave 2 stuff is expensive, but you can still pick the stuff up really cheaply. I mean, there was a lot of leftover stock, I think, in the late 80s, but it's such a good toy line. They come with bundles of accessories, good sculpts. The only thing that would have improved that toy line would be elbows that worked.
Yes. Which I believe the later figures had elbows. Yeah.
If I had to go through this whole area just right here and pick the things that I had to save, if I could pick 5 lines that I was going to save, it would be number 1 is Voltron. Like for me, Go Lion, really.
Yeah.
And then Rambo Force of Freedom. Probably you're going to be surprised that I say this, but probably Silverhawks. Not because the cartoon is any good at all, but I just love the toys. And kind of the same thing with the Ghostbusters, the Filmation Ghostbusters. I've just always loved the artistic rendering of those toys. They're just very unique. And so I really love that.
Great, like in a collection like that.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't count Thundar because it was sort of made after the fact, so that's the only reason he's not on the list. But I would say the Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh, the Advanced Dungeons and Dragons.
Dungeons and Dragons. I really like that. So those would probably be my, which I know it's weird that I didn't pick Star Wars, but I'm kind of burned out on Star Wars, honestly. Like
RetroBlasting is all about being able to be honest. You can be honest here.
I don't hate Star Wars or anything. it's like I'm picking more unique things that are just visually that's really cool.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's my answer to that. George Aiken says, I donated to the Palitoy advert thing last week, so I don't know if you want to take that as an opportunity to sort of briefly touch on that, Tony.
Yeah, so I hope everyone's already aware of it. So I found myself in the very lucky situation where I was approached by, and I had spoken to this guy. I'd connected with him about 8 years ago. A fellow Action Man enthusiast who's also a film industry veteran, so he really knows what he's doing with this kind of thing. Through a lot of detective work, he was able to track down 3 rolls of 35mm film prints that had 103 original Palitoy toy commercials from the 1970s. He was secured them. This is like 8 or 10 years ago. Spent a lot of his own money to have them, all the film prints digitally cleaned up, re-spliced together and everything, and then scanned to a 2K quality. And now he's looking to move them on, and he just really wants to recoup the money that he outlaid, to get them all cleaned. And I was really appreciative that I was the first person he approached, and he liked my plan that I would do a GoFundMe to raise the fund, because I do really feel like this guy deserves to recoup his investment. He paid for this all out of his own pocket. So we have a GoFundMe running. It's going to be running for a few more weeks. And later on in this show, probably before we do the mystery boxes, I've spoken to this guy, and he's actually given me permission to air one of the commercials in its entirety without a watermark, and you'll see the full quality of it. So I chose an Action Man commercial that people will be very familiar with, but you've never seen it in this kind of quality before. I mean, it never would have been broadcast on British television.
Because they would have telesened it down to and then when you revealed this in the video that you did that kicked off this whole campaign, I think my comment on the video at the time was, these opportunities don't come around very often. A lot of this stuff gets lost forever, and there's no way to get it back. Like they get binned, and so the fact that this stuff got saved, and now there's an opportunity for it to come out of private collector hands. Not that this guy was acting that way, but a lot of people, when they trade film prints, you have to understand, people who collect and trade film and TV prints, they're very secluded about it. They're very, they cloister up, and they like, I have this thing that nobody else has, and I can watch it. Nobody else in the world has access to it, because this guy's not doing that. He's saying, I just need to recoup my costs. Let's get them out there. So anybody who cares about toy history, this is one of those rare moments where, if you care about it, just go read the GoFundMe, because these opportunities don't come around often.
And I wanted to point this out. Jason says the GoFundMe is really close to being fully funded. It would be boss if it would go over the finish line before Tony heads home. So
It very much would, because once we reach the goal, like, we're not going to just keep taking money. We're going to. So I have not withdrawn. So I get an email every day. I get an email from GoFundMe to say you need to set up for withdrawals. I've got until September or something.
Right.
I'm like, no. I'm just going to leave it, because in case anything was to go wrong, I was going to refund everyone. But I'm confident we're going to reach the goal. The sooner the better, because although I've set a deadline of I think the 24th of June, whatever that last weekend in June is. If we reach the goal before then, I'm just going to do the transaction, send the money to this guy. He's going to hand these over in person to Bob Breakin, so he can give them to the Colville Heritage Society.
Yep.
And I'm just going to start uploading the commercials to the new YouTube channel, which already has 150 subscribers and no content.
Well, that's because they're all waiting with bated breath, because I know you already said this, but Tony's not going to upload them to his channel and then earn ad revenue off of them. These are for everyone. So they're going to have their own public, non-monetized channel where everybody can access them.
And I know this guy. So in the UK, we have an auction house called Vectis that specializes in, they do a lot of Star Wars stuff, toys and that kind of thing. A bit like Hayes Americana, but it's the UK version. This guy could have very easily gone to Vectis, probably got a lot more money for this. But you would have found a wealthy collector would have snapped them up. None of us would ever see them. Another collection for 20 years. And then who's to say in 20 years' time, there's going to be someone like me who wants to, I want this stuff to be seen. And I had this discussion with Bob and came up with this. Unfortunate thing with me, this guy emailed me like one morning when I was in Thailand on vacation. And all of a sudden, I came completely detached from my vacation with my family, and I was just obsessing over these commercials for 48 hours. How am I going to do this where the community gets to see them, and this guy still gets his investment returned to him? And I think we came up with a good plan. So.
That's awesome. Michael Hinkson says, update G.I. Joe classified 2-packs, Thomas and
Tomax and Zaymot.
Thank you. And Chuckles and James Bond with retroblasting branding. That would be funny. King Eric says, I just wanted to say I appreciate all your guys' knowledge and all the hard work you put into every video. Thank you so much, man.
Not a problem.
Largo's Lair says, Dreamland with new co-host Conrad is glorious. Great fun listening to you two interact. Thanks. It's really fun to sort of have that different approach, like the UK versus US sort of take on stuff is kind of a fun way to approach things as well. So yeah, we're having a great time. Scott Hughes says, bought a ton of Sergeant Rock toys from Kmart as generic Joes and Cobras. Could get 2 Sergeant Rock figures with mini playset accessories for the price of 1 Joe figure.
Forgot about Sergeant Rock. He did have a toy line. Yep. That's right. Good call.
I don't think we had that in the UK.
It was probably stateside only, But I forgot about it because that was right. I was basically an infant and a toddler as those toys were kind of circulating through. So,
Mark Tefler says, Melinda, have you watched any of Stallone's Tulsa King? It's good. Yes, I love it. I love that show.
Is it worth watching?
Oh my God, it's very worth. Okay. Yeah, I mean,
That's another subscription service.
Not all of Stallone's stuff that he's done recently is like, go out and watch it right away. But I really do think Tulsa King plays. The thing is, Stallone works best when he's used in the right way. Like he's a very specific kind of a tool, meaning, and so you need to put him in the right role, which is why I don't love him in things like Oscar and stuff like that, because he's not doing what he does.
She was not at all saying Stallone is a tool.
No,
she was saying
I was making a metaphor.
I was very much like that. That's how Colonel Troutman referred to him.
That's why he was. Yeah, that's
he wasn't a soldier. He was a weapon.
Yes, right.
That's what I was trying to say.
I knew what you're saying. I think most people do, but yeah, what she's saying is Stallone's performance is one where you want to use him in the right role for the right kind of character.
He has to have a little bit of that pathos mixed with vengeance. And he does it in all these different nuanced ways, but he's just really good. Something about the look of his face and just his voice and all of the things he does.
Did you watch was it Samaritan?
We haven't seen
that one yet.
Is it good?
So I don't think it's a great film, but it's not Stallone's fault.
Okay.
He'd still deliver it. If you're a Stallone fan, watch it once, never have to watch it again.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah,
You might like Tulsa King though. It's pretty good.
I from the ads and that,
Mm-hmm.
the only thing that's put me off is it's in Australia. It's on Paramount, and I'm like,
Oh,
I've got so many different streaming services now, and I'm not sure if I've had Paramount before or not.
mm-hmm.
So if I can jump in and get a 7-day free trial and binge it,
Oh, sure.
Definitely do that. Like
Yeah.
the whole first season is out now, and I don't think the second one's out. So
Yeah, I don't
you
even think
just-
it's been filmed yet.
No, I think it may be in process,
Mhm.
but yeah, no, it's great. Kay Burns says, I'm lurking, but I wanted to say this live stream is great. Thank you so
Thanks.
thank you.
much. Kieran says, if you own more than one My Little Pony, is that not army building? So when I
Stable
said
building.
earlier that I didn't have action figures, I don't count like My Little Pony, Barbie, Strawberry Shortcake as action figures because they're not action. They don't have like they're just
Yeah, but they could
I
be
consider
used
them
as
dolls.
cavalry for the Rambo Force of
well,
Freedom.
right, but like I didn't have any military toys. Like I had Strawberry Shortcake and girly toys because it was like the 80s.
So
and stuff.
Stallone's never ridden Rapunzel.
No.
They drew Applejack, not me. They drew Applejack.
Stallone is good with horses, though, I've got to say.
Yeah.
All right. Mutron says, Tony, Michael, have you ever read or are you aware of the Commando comics from the late 70s?
Oh,
onwards?
yeah.
Yes. I've never read any of them, but I'm aware of them.
I used to read those things
Mhm.
like no to much. They're very small comics.
Mhm.
Really, really colorful
Mhm.
artwork on the covers. A lot of World War II,
Mhm.
and it wasn't like there was no continuity. It was all like
Right.
standalone stories. And I remember when I left the UK, I wanted to bring my Commando comics, and they were really cheap. You know, you could
Yeah.
get them like 15p in the newsagents. And I wanted to bring all my Commando comics with me to Australia. I literally had that many of them. And parents were like, well, you can, pick half a dozen or something. I would have had like 250 of these.
Oh,
And it was like,
Oh, that's.
and I think we sold the whole lot, at,
Uh-huh.
at a garage sale for like £5.
Oh,
Yeah.
Scott
I
Hughes-
lost a lot of stuff when we moved to Australia.
Sure.
Because when I was growing up, the main military comics were, I think Sergeant Rock still had a comic book out at the time, but it was G.I. Joe and the Nom were the two that I remember the
I
most.
remember the name.
Yeah.
Scott Hughes says, Tony, even though it's completely unrealistic for Big Ben to have it, a double-barreled AR actually exists. It's called a Gilboa Snake. Someone at Hasbro probably saw it and just said, hey, that's cool.
So Scott Hughes, it's double-barreled. Is it fed by the one magazine? Because that's what this new Big Ben's got, a double-barreled AR with one magazine.
Mm.
I'd love to see the mechanism that pulls from.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't know how the words, but you know what I'm
There's
saying.
a fork in the road.
Somebody's got to pull that train lever to switch tracks. My last call with Troy Pacelli says, my favorite YouTubers together in one stream, Melinda, Michael, and Tony. That deserves a super chat. Thanks so much, man.
Thank you.
Thank you,
and
Troy.
I sorry I couldn't make your Troy has a great channel called Last Call. It's a great relaxing Friday night chat. He did this amazing hangout where they kind of did a commentary for the original 1977 Star Wars for May 25th. Because like us, he knows Star Wars Day is really May 25th.
Yep.
And I listened
Hell
to
yeah.
it. I wasn't able to make it, but I listened to it, and it's really, really fun to listen to. So recommended.
You're gonna have to read this one from Bjorn.
Shmabullock. Shmabullock. Bjorn, what are we doing here?
What is happening?
What's happening?
Is my brain melting? Did I just have a stroke?
It was from a while ago, so
I smell toast. Anyway, thank you. Jeffrey says, late to the game, but love your 1/6 military vehicles. Own an M8 Greyhound myself as a World War II historian. Welcome back, Tony. What's Melinda's favorite D&D characters, and where did Michael get his tank? Wow. Okay, so favorite D&D
wow,
characters.
that was a lot in there.
It's like,
Super chat.
I mean, he gave $10. So, I mean, all right. So, favorite? Do you mean from? I assume you mean from the cartoon.
Or maybe he also means from the action figure line.
Oh, I'd have to go over there and look at them all. I really love the dragon, though.
Oh, so you like
it's all-
Tiamat?
Yeah, I
It's
mean,
always War Duke.
I
for
mean,
me.
dude,
I never had
Tiamat.
them as a kid, but I used to spy them in the toy store. And everyone wanted War Duke.
Warduke. Remember the
Yeah, no, I know, but Tiamat's literally the name of metal band, so
Yeah.
that's just badass. So yeah, but I the cartoon, of course, I love Uni.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I actually kind of like Bobby as well. And then he wants to know,
Eric.
where did you get your tank? He wants to know.
Well, so I don't remember if I think I sent you a photo after I bought it and I told you what happened. That's what happened. I was at Toylanta.
No, you did a Patreon video.
That's right. I did a Patreon video. That's right. And I was at Toylanta, and our good friend Alan Dawson had flown all the way from England with a few other Action Man friends.
Yeah, he's been to Joe. Well, it used to be Joe Lantern.
Yeah,
he's been many times.
Yeah, and maybe this one was Joe Lanta, because they do a Joe Lanta and a Toylanta now. I can't remember which one is in March and which one's in September. Either way, it's the same people.
Yeah,
and he had a booth there, and he had this Scorpion tank with the box. And I was like, oh man, the Scorpion tank, because not only do I love Action Man, and not only do I love British military history, but I also love Doctor Who, specifically Tom Baker. And this is a screen used prop in Robot, Tom Baker's first story. So there were all these reasons to get it. And I kept thinking to myself, well, do I get it? Do I not? And so I finally said, it's in such great condition. These guys, they don't want to have to carry it back with them in their luggage. I want to pick this up. And so I bought it from them, and that's why it's here.
And now you know what I want to do tomorrow?
What's that?
Is take your character options robot and that in the backyard and just see if we can recreate that shot.
You know what's such a shame? The Dennis Fisher K1 robot is of better scaling.
Yeah.
And yet I don't have that. And that's
because it's like $2,000.
I know. Yeah. It's insane money. Like I have the Dennis Fisher Tom Baker.
Yeah.
But I don't have the K1 robot, which would be so cool to have with this. So
we'll try some forced perspective thing.
Yeah.
Articulated Ninja says, sorry I'm late, but watching all three of you guys in person together has made my day. It feels like the Avengers have begun to form all in one place.
Yep.
Thank you so much for the super chat. It's so nice to see you here, and look forward to hopefully seeing you at Joe Fest. And
yes, we will.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. So thanks, man. Eric Alfred Abel says, this corner of the community is authentic and self-aware. I've never left a live stream because I thought the people were being gross or pandering. Cheers.
Oh, I try not to be gross. I don't like gross.
I mean, sometimes I'm gross. Like sweaty, because the lights in here are kind of hot. So
you're going to run him off is what's going to happen. He's going to be like, oh, I had this wrong.
I think Eric Alfred Abel is totally down with like being authentic, because he says authentic. And there's nothing more authentic than just having pooling sweat from like lights.
Do you want me to turn the air down more? I'll turn it down.
No.
Me and Bobby met Eric's daughter at Joe Fest last year. She got sent there on a mission to get Action Force figures for her dad. And she's a serving US Marine. So thank her for her service, especially on a weekend like this. You say we're authentic and self-aware. Some people say we're divisive.
Tomato. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because when you're authentic, not everything is awesome.
Well, I mean, unless you are just like vapid.
Yeah.
So Scott says,
Scott Knudsen.
And it's funny. I almost said this earlier when you were talking about that magazine. And so I'm glad that Scott's saying it, because I was like, I should have probably said that. So he says, it occurs to me that in the 80s, Soldier of Fortune magazine was basically the conventional military equivalent of magazines like Ninja Master or Ninja Combat. They played it dead serious, but it was as real as a canon movie. But I mean, you weren't talking about Soldier of Fortune. You were talking about
Combat Survival, which is
different.
in the UK.
It's different, I'm sure.
That was a very realistic magazine.
But that's what it reminded me of, was the Soldier of Fortune thing, which was like not as real, right?
And I remember, and my dad got me, issue 1 and issue 2 when they first. I think it was advertised on TV, and I saw it, and I was like, I really want those magazines.
Yeah.
And if you got issue 1 and issue 2, then you could send away for a binder, black binder. And it had silver embossed in the side, Combat Survival Volume 1. And it was like 50 issues to fill the binder. And then when you got issue 51, you could send away for another binder. And I filled 2 of these binders. Those I did take to Australia. And I don't know what happened to them. Somewhere in my 20s, they
no.
All right, I got two more. Mutron says Commando comics have been re-released digitally and in print. I have a box of vintage that I'm more than happy to donate to Analog Toys.
Ooh, it's very kind.
And then World Made of Cardboard says, for your attempt to recreate the scene with the K1 robot and the Action Man tank, please play with your toys.
Yeah, that's true. And World Made of Cardboard is, I mean, the reason he's called World Made of Cardboard is because he built his own toys to supplement the toys he had growing up to immense levels of detail. I still have the ones you sent me from your childhood here in the studio. Yep. They're incredible constructions. They really are.
So I'm done with super chats. If you guys want to have an actual conversation.
Oh, now we have to fill time.
Oh no, you don't have to fill time. I mean, we have been on for an hour now, and you can either open things, or I can start pulling.
Oh, we have to show the commercial. When did you want to do that?
Let's do it now.
Okay.
So I think if I know some of the mods have put the link to the GoFundMe in the live chat already. It's not like a Kickstarter where, although I have set a deadline, I had to do that to agree with the current owner. But it's not like, don't wait for the last minute. As soon as we get this over the line, we can start getting this stuff out there.
Right.
So I turns out I had a long video chat with the guy who owns these commercials. We had this video chat, and he's a big fan of RetroBlasting.
Oh, that's very kind.
And when I talked to him the other week, I said, I think to give the campaign a bit of a boost, I was like, how about we show one of these commercials? And I suggested, I'm going to be out, and he was like, oh, you can do it on RetroBlasting? And he got really excited about it. So this is a commercial that is already available on YouTube, obviously in much lower quality.
Right.
It's a classic Action Man commercial about the transport command that shows the tank and for the eagle-eyed among you, see what I did there?
Yeah.
For the eagle-eyed among you, see if you can notice something wrong with the Action Man sitting in the sidecar of the motorbike and sidecar.
And before we start this, I just want to tell everybody from a film enthusiast perspective, he's already said that this commercial is on YouTube in lower quality. I highly encourage you, after you see this, to go try and find the lower quality one, the other copy on YouTube.
It's in 360p.
Right. You will see what he's talking about as to why it's so important to preserve these in the public space, in the public domain. Because some people, they love to tell me, oh, I'm good with my DVDs. I need you to get your prescription checked for your eyeglasses then, because this will be a stark illustration of why reference quality film needs to be available to us. All right. I'll shut up now.
All right. Here we go.
Action Man
and his transport command. Tough, realistic models specially designed for Action Man. They're all action. Just look for the Action Man Transport Command badge. It tells you they're the real thing. You can send off for a free workshop accessories kit by collecting the stars with every pack.
Action Man
Transport Command. Only from Palitoy.
That's impressive quality.
It's really, really impressive quality.
Yeah.
So did anybody spot what Tony was trying to point out?
Let's see what we got in the comments.
So I've seen that commercial hundreds of times in 360p.
Yeah.
And because the quality is so poor, I've never noticed it. And the first time I watched this, I was like, what the hell am I doing there? Palitoy don't make mistakes like that. Yeah. Michael Hinkson got it.
Oh, I was trying to find it. I'm super slow. Oh, here it is. Left hand is on the right.
Yeah. And I was looking at it, trying to think whether I actually think they dressed the figure back to front. And then just realized later and turned the head around and sat down. So his left and his right arm are swapped over.
Sort of like when you're dressing a corpse in a coffin.
Exactly like that.
Oh, okay. I was just bringing it back to murder. Anyway. Sorry.
Yeah, I've seen that commercial hundreds of times in the currently available quality, and you can't pick up a detail like that.
Right.
And the first time I saw this, I was like, "What the heck is this?" Palitoy don't make mistakes like that, but they were really good at doing commercials.
Their commercials are excellent. I'm confident this thing's going to get funded, but I don't want to jinx it. But I want to see those Colditz commercials so bad.
Yeah.
I want to see them so badly in high quality.
Yeah, they do. There's 2 commercials for the Colditz board game, a
Mhm.
15-second one and a 30-second one.
Mhm.
I've been fortunate enough to see the 15-second one.
Mhm.
I can't wait to see what's in the other one.
Did
'cause
they ever do commercials for the Escape from Colditz set? Like the figure
the
set?
Action Man
Yeah,
set?
Yeah.
Not that I've.
Uh-huh.
It's not in this collection, and
Right.
nothing it's ever been found. That doesn't mean they didn't. It's just
Right.
there's no surviving examples.
Right.
Yeah.
I have some funny super chats related to things, or not even super chats, they're just regular chats. But KBA says that motorcycle guy has the same birth defect as my childhood left ticket figure. Jeff72 says, yep, a Friday afternoon special with 2 left hands. Action Pop Dad says, oh my God, that got me in the feels. Wolfie
Good.
says, we replaced the bodily fluids with Tang. And Jason says, Action Man, Weekend at Bernie's. So, yeah, no, that's pretty great. And I don't know, I've got some stuff from, I've got one from Laser Pants, which should I read that?
Yeah, go on.
So Ryan says, a bit off topic, but can you explain how the Mandalorian is a Jewish allegory?
Well, I can't.
I always thought that it was an allegory for going to a convent school and being verbally abused by nuns. I could prove that if you wanted me to do a video as well. You can read into a lot of things.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm missing subtext, but I'll just go with it.
I can explain later.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
We'll tell you later. Mommy, what does that mean? Don't ask. Shindaria says, I'm still waiting on one of those lasers in G.I. Joe to hit a person. I'm curious to know what will happen. Will it go through people like Homelander's eye lasers from The Boys? I wish.
It's like the K1 Robots disintegrator gun.
Oh, yeah. Good point. Yeah. That would actually be hilarious if somebody re-edited the G.I. Joe cartoons so that every time somebody would get hit by one of those things, they would just be like, ah, it'd be like a red mist and a skeleton and they'd be gone. And,
You know what I've always loved about that cartoon? I know the showrunners of the cartoon were like, you know, we can't have anyone die in this cartoon.
Mm-hmm.
The comic was obviously very different.
Right.
So whenever an aircraft blew up, they always parachuted to safety.
Mm-hmm.
But they used to parachute out of Cobra fangs.
Yes. Which is like,
I want someone to go back and like redo it where it deploys it. He just gets sucked into the rotor blades.
Exactly.
And it's just like that scene in Raiders of the Lost Ark where the German just turns around and then blood.
Yeah.
Well, it's like you know, when you're flying around the dragonfly choppers in those cartoons, the same thing would happen. They would leap out and then parachute.
What does Conrad say? It's like a corned beef nightmare.
Yes. Action Pop Dad says, the look from Michael when you read that it got me in the feels. Sorry, couldn't resist. He's just messing with you.
I know.
So-
Everybody knows my reactions to certain little bits of nerd phrasing like peace bonding, all the feels.
Peace bonding? What's that?
Yeah, it's
Oh,
basically what it means is
zip tying your guns, even if they're plastic guns, so that everyone can visually see that you can't pull the trigger.
at a costume event or like a convention.
And they
so-
usually do it with like a neon zip tie. So like when you
Then
go
you
to
gotta-
try to like have photos made, you have this big ugly neon zip tie in the photo, and it kind of ruins the whole.
which is why experienced people that go to those conventions always carry a little thing of nippers, so that if that happens, you just immediately reach over and cut the tail off of it, so that. But it's still just like, oh, we need to peace bond that. We need peace bonding. It's like, are you the teacher from Beavis and Butthead? Like, what's the deal? Sorry.
Everyone's yelling out the things you hate now in the chat.
That's
so
fine.
Don't look at it.
Whatever. Keep your eyes shut. Don't look at it.
Don't look at it. Don't look at it. Somebody, K-Dog says, what gets Michael in the feels?
Nothing.
Nothing. He's cold and dead inside.
Yeah.
Just the way I like it.
I'll take that. I'll take it. I'll take it.
Oh, yeah. So, what is my watch doing? Is someone messaging me? Oh, by the way, Tim Ward says that Bjorn always posts that Schmeeblook. He says it's from Gravity balls
Oh,
or
okay.
something.
Because he never posted that back when we were doing the live stream, so it must be a new thing for Bjorn, which is cool. Everybody needs a new thing.
Yeah.
So I'm glad to know it. It's like the Dillinghamism. I'm glad to know that. So
Okay. When I hear it, I think Shmi, like Shmi from
Shmi Skywalker.
Yeah. Well, because the first part of it is Shmi.
Yeah, no. Her first name is Shmi.
No, I'm saying the first part of his word
Yes.
is Shmi.
Yes. Yeah.
That's the only other time I've ever heard that.
Next time he says it, I'm just going to be like, "Are you an angel?"
No, I'm a person, and my name is Anakin.
Ugh.
Sorry. So Action Pop Dad says a paid apology.
You don't
sir.
have to apologize to me for that. You're allowed to say whatever you want. You just, as long as you're okay with me, like, dying inside a little bit.
And Dale says, "Great to see you guys in the same room."
Great to see
Thank you
Dale.
so much. So,
Do you want me to do the traditional clear the table and do the unboxing thing, or what?
I mean, sure.
She's like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
I mean, what else can we do? I mean, we can start, row your boat.
Well, don't ask him.
No.
No, he's pouting.
guarding the moon pies, which kind of makes me angry.
I'm gonna. Come on, DB.
So what are the other things you want to do while you're here in the States, Tony? Like, we keep trying to talk Tony into like going and doing things in the area, and he's like, nah.
No. I like having a whiskey with Melinda in the evening. And
Well, yeah. I mean, I like that too.
so I got here Friday, and got to the house, had a shower, and I was very happy to go out and have some dinner. I didn't need to go to sleep or anything straight away. So we kind of went out for dinner, and I was telling Michael and Melinda I was here last year for 2.5 weeks, and I never went to Walmart or Target or anything. So they took me to a Walmart, and it was, I don't know what I was expecting. I wasn't expecting to walk into a store and go, "Oh, it's got a unique smell." And Walmart,
And what was that smell, Tony? Can you describe it?
like manufactured rubber. Rubber and PVC is what Walmart
Like
smelled
cheap
to me.
shoes?
Yeah, like I was like, there's going to be lots of like blow molded plastic products in here, and yeah.
Did you expect it to
cheap
be
shoes.
like a really like high ceiling kind of
Yeah,
warehouse?
I did kind of expect.
Okay.
Well, like it was reminded me of Kmart in Australia, but it's just on steroids. It's like 3 times the size. All the aisles are bigger, and we were actually quite surprised. We went down the action figure aisle, thinking it's like, oh, good old American toy distribution, and there was actually some stuff, nothing worth buying.
It was the best stocked I've ever seen it.
It was really
that
well
day.
stocked.
Like it was.
But the proof was in the pudding, as we just sort of went, but there's nothing worth buying. That's just the current state of
Well,
the modern toy industry.
The other thing that people talk about with Walmart is the people of Walmart, which I don't know if you're familiar with, but I don't think we really saw a lot of that.
No. We went at like 9 o'clock or something.
Yeah.
I was amazed that it's
They're
open
there all the
24
time,
hours.
though.
Yeah, I mean, Laserpan says it smells like failure.
Well, we actually literally looked around at the stock, and we were like, quite literally, this is all Mandos, Landos, and Randos.
That is true. That is what you said.
Yeah, they had like half a dozen General Landos, half a dozen Skiff Guard Landos,
And the Bespin Lando.
and the Bespin Vintage Collection. They had like a dozen of those.
Yeah.
But then, and we turned around at one point, and there was one of the Snake Eyes movie G.I. Joes
That's right.
on the floor. And I said to Michael, "Did you throw this down here in disgust?" And he's like, "No, we just walked in the aisle and it was already on the floor."
Yeah.
Someone else threw it here.
It
in
threw itself
disgust.
off.
Yeah. I as much as I don't like certain toys and certain toy lines, I don't vandalize things. But other people, they don't know how to control their anger.
Yeah.
So Just Jeff says, "Enjoy small Slurpees. Nice to see you 3 in one room."
Thank you, Jeff.
And then Scott Hughes says, "Here's gas money to take Tony to adventure outdoors."
Oh, okay.
What's Adventure Outdoors?
Isn't it like a hunting store?
It's a outdoors equipment place with.
Can get Does Hambone McGillicuddy work there?
I wouldn't be surprised.
Selling
There's
combat
another-
bows.
There's another place
And
that's
Bespin
like,
fatigues.
and it's an outdoors
give
place,
anything.
but it's not like what I call the death and murder section of like the hunters. It's more like hiking and
Mhm.
mountain climbing and going out and like camping and that kind of. What's
We've
that
got
place?
public lands.
Public lands, which I really like that place. K-Dog says, too bad Tony missed Toys R Us by about 3 years. They never had that much. I mean, it was
Toys
nice.
R Us in the UK.
Yeah, and we had them in Australia as well. So
And
yeah,
Zentar-
in the 90s, Toys R Us were
Oh,
everywhere.
we would go to
true.
the Toys R Us in Woking. That's
And
where we go.
I would go in there. I was buying all of the Power of the Force 2 stuff. I was
Mhm.
buying all of the Hasbro's 90s Action Man, rollerblading Action
Mhm.
Man and snowboarding Action Man. Even though I couldn't understand why my adventure military hero was now
Mm-hmm.
a rollerblader
Right.
doing extreme sports and stuff, I
Maybe-
was still buying it.
he saw Xanadu and just kind of wanted to modify.
Xanadu.
Zantara says that's better than the usual body odor smell most Walmarts carry, which is
Oh.
definitely true.
I forgot I ordered this.
Oh, this is something you bought yourself.
I forgot. It was in the pile. It's a
Which
rare.
technically means it's still a mystery box.
That's true.
You surprised yourself.
It's just a movie magazine I need for a video I'm working on. Tomb Raider movie magazine. All right, I'll move on to the actual mystery boxes. I just
Well,
literally
it was a
forgot.
mystery box that you just surprised yourself
I
with.
did. I surprised myself.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. This one is from Jeff McElwee. That means there's going to be Lego stuff in here. I can tell you that right now.
Michael pronounced that correct as well. He's not like Laser Pants, who always mispronounces just McElway.
Well,
McElwee.
Jeff has a strategy with that. That's a little underhanded. What he does is he lets you mispronounce his name for months and months on end. And then he waits to go live on your show. Even in the backstage, he'll still let you call him Jeff, McElwee. Then when he goes live and you say, and introducing my good friend, Jeff McElwee, he'll go, McElwee. And you're like, dude, it's almost
See,
like
I knew it was McElwee because I had a teacher named McAfee. And it's like when people always want to pronounce the thing that's on your computer as McAfee. I'm like, I don't think that's how you say it.
Oh, now I'm getting it. He's saying he did, unlike Ryan. Just Jeff has changed. So now he's changed his YouTube handle to Just Jeff.
bet you a lot of people were like, hey, it's Jeff McElwee. And he's like, dang it, I got to change this to just Jeff. No, but yes, Jeff McElwee's a good guy. And he's one of, oh my God, Jeff, this is way too kind, man. That's the short round from the, he sent me, okay, so there's more in this box, but he sent me the minifig for short round from one of the Temple of Doom sets.
That's pretty cool.
Oh my, no, he sent me Shanghai Indy from the Temple of Doom scene and Willie from the Temple of Doom scene in minifig form. So in the white tux and the red dress from that. Dude, Jeff.
Are these custom or
No, these are from the set from 08.
Okay, but they're hard to
Wow.
get.
And they came in a set with the two cars that were in the chase.
Yep.
Dude, thank you so much,
That's
Jeff. This
pretty
is
cool.
way too kind.
And you were right. It is Lego.
Yeah, it is Lego. Man,
He packed it well.
thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
And I like how they actually made short round short.
Short.
He's a short,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
short minifigure.
Mm-hmm. Kind
Uh,
of like how they do for the Harry Potter kids. They make them short. Yes, what?
Jeff says, careful with that short round, Michael. He's got a crack.
Understood. No problem. I've got it covered.
He's always careful with everything. So
Yep.
uh,
Thank you, Jeff. All right, what do we have here? We have from Ted at Hella Dope Toys.
Ah,
so,
Ted Darklaw.
So what do we have here? Uh-oh, there's a letter.
Jeff here says, just be careful with short round because he has a crack.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
some
that's
minifigures can sometimes get cracks in the torso.
Yeah.
Not real. It's
Yeah.
plastic.
Be careful.
Yeah. I'm going to listen to you, Jeff, so I live longer. Michael, so I want to take an opportunity to properly introduce ourselves. My name is Ted Darkclaw. My business partner is Aaron Black Knight Yancey, owners of Helidope Toys, longtime fans of your channel. Oh, thank you very much.
Long-time listener.
I noticed last week you posted a video about the recent release of Boglins. As a lifelong Boglin fan, it warms my heart to see new releases getting some love outside of the standard Boglin community. The bad thing about Boglins, though, is they don't do well alone. They need a friend, or else all the chaotic Boglin energy is unleashed in unproductive ways. This gift is not a bribe. We are not asking or expecting you to post or share this. Well, I always unbox. So mystery boxes are quite fun for me. This is a hello from one Boglin fan to another. Thank you for your years of content. Helidope Toys, Ted. Dude, thank you so much. This looks like it looks like it's one of the new Boglins. It is.
So I know you're not trying to bribe them, but I will plug Helidope Toys because they're huge supporters. Because they're Helidope, yeah, they're huge supporters of the 3POA. And
really?
everyone I know in the 3POA audience, including Laser Pants, who's bought stuff from them before, says their online service is great. So.
Oh, man. They sent the new King Drool.
King Drool.
Melinda's not a huge fan of puppets, but I have no problem with them. This is great.
That was me on the 15-hour flight from Doha to Atlanta. King Drool.
Wow.
Thank you so much, Ted and Aaron. Thank you so much. I will put this with my other Boglin. Thank you. Okay.
So I'm going to read some super chats while you're getting ready to do that.
Yep.
So Keith Knight says, "Great to see you all together again and live."
Always.
Well, I'm glad that we're alive too, Keith. He says, "A little something for the beer fund. Love you guys." Thanks
Keith.
so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Keith.
Keith is a wizard with Playmobil. A wizard.
Yep.
Spot 138 says, "Yo, Tony, get Bobby to take you up to Battleship Cove while you're up in Rhode Island."
Battleship Cove?
Master Son says, "I have a ticket ready for purchase if Tony needs to come to Louisiana for a couple days."
So this is a
You
box.
can't steal Tony.
This is a box from Keith Holmesley, our good friend and longtime friend, and just rabid Michael Keaton Batman and Tom Cruise fan, Keith Holmesley.
Yeah.
So here is a box from him. There's never any telling what's in it. Wow. So he has sent the react. We were just talking about CoverGirl.
Yeah.
He has sent the reaction G.I. Joe CoverGirl, which they opted to do with blonde hair. So there's that. Thank you so much for that.
Easy breezy, beautiful.
And he has sent. Oh, wow. That's a cool car.
Is it a Mountain Dew car?
It's a De Mancini Veloce. What?
It's a Hot Wheel.
Now
That looks like a British racing car.
it's
yeah,
green.
yeah. It looks like a
It
rally
is
car from back
British
in the
racing green.
Yeah.
Which is
Yeah.
interesting.
I bet you he knows how much I love the Lancia Stratos.
Yeah.
And he saw, because this is right up my alley right here. Dude, Keith, this is sharp, dude. Thank you. And then finally, he sent the classified CoverGirl, because that's okay. I will check this out. Keith. Thank you very much. I'm one of those rarefied people that prefers CoverGirl with the auburn red hair. A lot of people they ascribe to the whole blonde hair look, which was only
no.
I like this
The
look.
original figure was
Yeah.
auburn haired. I mean, the original figure and in the comic never looked like Joan Rivers.
Right,
but-
which this one
I
seems to
was
kind
gonna
of look.
say that.
Yeah,
She has that very like.
I hope when I pull this figure out of the box, it immediately is like, oh.
But what's weird is like the cover art looks nothing like the character at all.
No, they're
It doesn't
doing
look
this.
anything like G.I. Joe art.
They're doing this
No,
weird
it's-
thing where they're getting these artists because they don't
Yeah.
want to put a
I mean,
window.
it's good art.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying it doesn't look like what you're getting.
Yeah,
The hair is
Yeah.
completely like it's just
yeah,
different.
it's a very strange thing
I
they're
do
doing.
like her outfit on the front though.
Oh no, the outfit that CoverGirl has is killer. It's a
Super
great
cute.
outfit. Yeah,
Love it.
yeah.
So not only did I go to Walmart with these fine friends of mine on Friday night, on Saturday morning, me and Michael were on our way to Second Chance Toys, and we're like, oh, let's go to Target. So he took me to Target and had a look around in there. And the reason I bring this up is I saw reaction G.I. Joe figures on the pegs there, and I had a reaction. And it was, how is this shit worth $20? This is like, well, these are like what we in England they'd be like stocking stuffers.
Yes. The nice thing here is he clearly knows how much I like the women of G.I. Joe, Scarlet, Lady J, CoverGirl. And that CoverGirl that he just sent us from Super 7, it can stay carded and go with my convention exclusive CoverGirl from
which we were talking about yesterday.
And I'll just display those two side by side because they're the same scale.
Jeff says, so what you're saying, Michael, is you prefer redheads? Slowly looks at Melinda.
I mean, I like redheads. I don't discriminate against any hair color. I think, you know, I don't fall down a lane. But yeah, you know, we grew up with a lot of really great redheads in our fiction. So, you know, yeah. My first television love as a crush as a little kid, not like a crush, like, you know, but like the first female hero that I was really like invested in was Linda Carter's Wonder Woman, who obviously is not a redhead, but yeah. So okay.
Yeah, I like Sonja.
Daisy Duke.
Daisy Duke, Red Sonja.
I like Daisy Duke as a kid because she was Southern and she had brown hair like me, whereas most female characters had blonde hair in the 80s that were like on TV shows, especially unless it's Filmation. But when you think it's all redheads.
When you think of the redheads that were in 80s animation,
yes, that's why I'm saying Filmation had like a thing about redheads.
It was like Scarlet, CoverGirl, the girl from Centurions, the girl from
Crystal Kane,
JB from Brave Star was Tila. You had I'm losing a few, but there were more. There was like a whole slate of them. Let's see.
They look good in animation, I suppose.
I did, yeah. And they kept that extra splash of color.
Yeah. April O'Neil.
Someone was just saying.
You could even argue the
Janine Melnitz.
You could even argue the girl in Galaxy Rangers was an auburn redhead like CoverGirl. Yeah. Good times.
And Grizzlor.
Yes.
Grizzlor. Grizzlor was a hottie.
I don't remember Grizzlor being in the cartoon, but he was Horde, so a lot of the Horde were actually in She-Ra.
Yes,
they?
They were sold. They were
says Lino.
That may be the funniest joke of 2023.
That's really good. That's why I had to interrupt you.
That may be the funniest joke of 2023. Okay, so this is from our good friend Raymond. This is from Raymond.
Oh, nice.
So there's no telling what's in here. Oh, vintage goodness.
Battlestar Galactica?
Yeah, check this out.
Oh, cool.
So he sent. Oh, holy.
Wow.
So first he sent the movie special for Star Trek II and a vintage Battlestar Galactica magazine. Oh man, look at the photography. Look at the photography in this. Look, it's so good. Character profiles.
That's the kind of stuff that like back then we would have like cut it out and like like taped it to like your bedroom wall or whatever. Oh my god.
Oh man, look at that.
Get your Cylon poster going.
Holy crap, that's cool.
Wow.
I thought it was a magazine.
Yeah, the poster magazine.
It's both.
Oh, it's got these beautiful images of the model for the Starship Enterprise being filmed. Look at that.
Oh, that's nice photography. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Nice. Thank you, Ray. Thank you so much. There's more in here.
But wait, there's more.
But wait, there's more. With the power of orange.
Act now, and you'll get the set of Ginsu.
The origin story comic for Final Faction. Thank you very much. I don't have that yet, I don't think.
Issue 1.
Issue 1.
What's a Final Faction?
Final Faction are these dollar store figures.
Oh,
so now they've got a storyline continuity behind them. So you
I
learn
see.
what.
So are they trying to copy Bobby Valla? Is that what they're doing?
Oh, totally. Okay, so he sent Final Faction figures. It looks like it's the second and third wave. Holy crap. Yeah, this is the second and third wave Final Faction figures. Holy crap, Ray. What did you do, Ray?
It's like an angry canine.
Yeah, it's a robotic dog that they have
Yeah.
in a Final Faction.
Mm.
Not your favorite? I thought you liked animals.
I do, but it's a robot. It's not an animal.
Robots, let's rock.
What is that?
It's from Ninja Turtles, the original miniseries, the cartoon miniseries.
How could I not know that?
Because
Probably because I've
it.
literally never seen it.
Anyway, Space 1999 episode novelization in mint condition. It's
Very
even,
cool.
the cover's still shiny.
Yeah.
It's not even like, dusty used book condition.
A World Made of Cardboard notes that the comic book has been canceled.
Oh, for Final Faction?
I assume that's what he's
Well, if the toys
After one issue.
if the toys live on. Wow.
That's what I was looking at earlier.
This is an unopened long box for the
Remember the long boxes?
for the CD soundtrack
No.
for Last Crusade. This is an unopened Last Crusade soundtrack CD from 1989.
I've never seen long boxes before.
Yeah, it was to prevent theft.
Well, and it was also to
Oh,
give
really?
them.
Yeah.
It was also to give them more surface area to advertise in the record stores.
Yep.
Holy crap, Ray! This is amazing. I'm never opening this. I'm gonna keep it in my Indiana Jones collection. I'm never opening
That's
this.
very
What
rare
did
for
you
you.
do, Ray?
I know it's very. Thank you so much.
Jason says, so it really was the Final Faction.
Okay, we have here novelizations for The Taste of Armageddon, Trouble with Tribbles, Where No Man Has Gone Before, and City on the Edge of Forever.
Dang, this is like that super chat we read that's got like 400 things in one thing.
I
Yeah.
know, right? It's like a thing that's in another thing. It's protected by another thing. Oh my gosh. A sealed CD set for the Return of the Jedi radio drama.
Now, see, you've really tapped into something Michael really does like, which is like soundtrack and
Physical media.
like
Yeah.
physical media, but like the music and like this kind of thing, radio dramas and stuff. He loves that stuff. He loves to like
Crap.
put that on while he's filming B-roll and just have that in the background so there's not ads and stuff like that. He loves it.
Ray, he found the expanded universe 90s figures that I never could find as a kid. Mara Jade, what?
So I mentioned recently in a video how a lot of Power of the Force 2 and then particularly Phantom Menace stuff, you can't give that stuff away now.
Right.
Even I know, but they are very desirable figures.
Right,
Mhm.
right. Yeah. So he sent the Imperial Sentinel, the Space Trooper, which was such a expanded universe era thing that was in the PC games and stuff. That was where I was. The Dark Trooper. This is right out of Dark Forces. And
Yeah,
he sent
not that Dark Trooper from the Mandalorian.
And he sent, last but not least, he sent Mara Jade, which, fun fact, this is the only Mara Jade figure to come with the proper lightsaber that she was given in the Thrawn trilogy.
Mhm.
All the others come with that purple thing from the promotional images, but this is the only one that's accurately given the Graflex saber from Empire and Star Wars.
And we were just talking about redheads.
And we were.
See, I love Mara Jade.
Yeah.
I always wanted to like, if I were gonna do any more costuming,
Mhm.
it would be Mara Jade.
Yeah.
Like with the hood thing,
With the goggles.
with the goggles,
Uh-huh.
and the black with that lightsaber.
Yeah. Last but not least, he sent a very nice Legacy Collection Stormtrooper in 3 3/4 inch. Thank you, Ray.
You can never have enough
You never have enough
stormtroopers.
Stormtroopers. Thank you so much, man. This is awesome.
So she's wearing gloves. Do you think that gloves would be a hindrance with guns and lightsabers? It feels like they would
In
be.
fantasy,
Not with a lightsaber.
yeah,
With guns, it affects your trigger finger.
Yeah.
So you'll find like snipers will just cut that one finger off the glove, so they can.
Mhm.
That's what every
Feel
time
the
when I
trigger
see
pressure.
Indy, that's what I think. It's
No,
because
but,
he's
but
wearing
it's,
the
it's
gloves.
just like this is why Hasbro never does Indy with his gloves because they gave him the Mara Jade. under contract.
That's why I
Yeah.
noticed them,
No, no,
because
no.
I was like,
Yeah.
she's got them, and Indy never does.
because they're Indiana Jones as well.
Yeah, totally. All right, we have one more box here.
Laserpan says,
There's more?
same here,
One more.
Melinda, same here. Does that mean, Ryan, that you want to dress up like Mara Jade? Because I would pay to see that, Ryan.
I think he's
likes
saying that Mara
Jade.
Jade's like his favorite character.
Oh, no, I don't like that as much.
Did you see that cosplay? It was like Mara Jade, but with a beard.
That's
She
what
was
I'm
like-
looking for. That's what
She
I'm
was like-
here for.
I mean, she was hot, but she was 7 feet tall with a beard. I don't understand.
And she smelt like Seattle streets.
Okay, so
Laserpan says, how much would you pay?
this is from our friend Scott Knudsen.
Depends on the quality of the costume, Ryan. Just do it at Valicon, and then I will let you know how much it's worth to me.
Right. I've said many times, we all know what Ryan would do for $5. So $5, that's it.
This is from our friend Scott Knudsen.
Sorry, wrong one. Just Jeff says, if Ryan dresses up as Mara Jade, I'll dress up as Slave Leia.
Who said that?
Jeff McElwee.
McElwee. And then Greg says, Melinda just hit on Laserpants' cosplay for Joe Fest. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Make it happen. Make it happen.
And Cador Broadcasting, yes, Melinda is coming to Joe Fest this year.
Yes, I am. I got a babysitter for my cats.
Okay, so Scott is way too kind. Would you like to do the honors and introduce this to the world?
Well,
Go
you
ahead.
don't need to say anything.
I know.
Just go.
Wow, that is really cool.
I just want to check I'm holding it the right way up.
Oh, your whole. Oh,
Finger.
wow.
Wow.
Scott, this is way too kind, man. Thank you a million times over. It comes. The figures are on the other side. I just saw.
Odd Job, Goldfinger, James Bond, Henchman. No, I was just looking at these two here.
Oh yeah, these are us.
There's actually Playmobil people opening the Playmobil box.
Right.
That's like 7 levels of meta.
I love the fact that the henchman is there purely to get ejected out of the seat, so
Yeah.
you can recreate that. That's awesome. All right, I know, Scott, that you said you wanted me to review this, so now I know why you sent it along. I will make sure that this happens not in a year like with the A-Team van where I screwed up. It will happen within the next few weeks, I promise.
Very nice.
Wow. So that's all the boxes, but I mean,
I've got some super chats here.
Yep, go ahead.
Gunstar says, Tony, I really loved your Danger Mouse video. I looked on eBay for them, but Pinfold is impossible to find.
So is Colonel K, as I've decided, because I didn't have
Mhm.
Colonel K. And there was another. So there was 2 carded versions of Danger Mouse,
Mm-hmm.
and then another Danger Mouse that came with the car.
Uh-huh.
I only had one of the carded version. So the other carded version comes with like a jet-powered skateboard.
Mm-hmm.
Can't find that dude anywhere either. I think they must have been like second wave figures
Mhm.
that are much, much harder to find. So
Right.
I really enjoyed making that video. It was a donation.
I love
to
that
the
video.
channel. I got all those toys in, and I was kind of half filming. I ruined the unboxing take
Mm-hmm.
because I started waffling on about wanting to make a video and the cut. And in the end, I had to message the person who sent the donation. I said, the footage from the unboxing is practically unusable. But I'm going to sit down right now and make a video about this because I don't need to
Mhm.
write a script or anything.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I love Danger Mouse. I can talk about it.
It's
all
still
day,
a
so-
reaction video. It's just, yeah.
It's a great video. I
Yeah.
loved watching it. I was like, when I saw the thumbnail come up, I was like, oh, dang, yes.
Something different.
Yeah, and also something I really like, you know.
It's British.
Absolutely. Just like this right here.
Laserpan says, show Tony the real America. Take him to Old Country Buffet.
Well,
Oh.
Ryan decided to take me
Mhm.
the morning that we were setting up for Joe
Mhm.
Fest. Him and Bobby.
Waffle House?
They took me to IHOP.
Oh, no,
And I
you
was-
gotta go Waffle
I
House.
was really disappointed in the service there.
Mhm.
Like,
Oh, well.
and then Ryan and Bobby said, we didn't expect that this was going to be the worst IHOP in America, but we found it
Yeah.
just for you.
Yeah, they're very hit or miss. Like,
Yeah.
seriously.
Well, we
He's exclaiming here it was Bobby's idea.
They're all throwing each other under
but
the
you
bus.
didn't complain. You were like, "Yep, let's go."
Meanwhile, Melinda and I have quietly, without any, we're going to do a humble brag. We've been making sure that we take Tony to some really great places to eat.
I went to this really cool place on, was it the first day, Friday?
Mhm.
Went to the Rally Point. It's like a US Marine themed bar with tons of memorabilia. It was awesome.
Yeah, it's called Simplify.
They're changing the name to Rally Point. That's why he preferred it. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even hear them say that. I knew they were franchising.
Yeah, they're changing the name to franchise it, call it Rally Point. But that's the original. I don't either, but you know, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the Mexican place last night was good too.
It was.
Yep.
KBA says take Tony to Crystals. I feel like, do they even have Crystals in?
Hey Tony, you want some American trash food?
Hey Tony, would you like to have the runs?
I like Crystal. By the way, KBA, I really like Crystals. I like that fast food. I like Crystals a lot.
What do they sell at Crystals?
They're like the little. They're like
tiny,
they're like
little,
sliders.
square hamburgers.
They're
like
squares.
Sliders.
Sliders.
Yeah.
Because it's hip to be square.
I mean, there's nothing for me to eat at any of these places like Cracker Barrel and all these gross old people. These are all old people places, guys. Like Cracker Barrel and Old Country Buffet is like where you take your grandma.
I'll let you and Laser.
A bunch of toothless people standing in a line going, "Can I have some more butter beans?" Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like,
man, we just got demonetized. Thanks a lot. It wouldn't be a retro blasting live stream in the traditional format without Melinda forgetting herself and dropping an F-bomb.
Sorry, I was just myself for a moment.
Apparently, as long as you don't do it in the first couple of minutes of the stream, you're all good.
That's kind of what I'm thinking. We're like an hour 40 in.
It's not about the YouTube police at that point. It's about the people who are watching it with their kids who are like, I thought retro blasting was kid safe.
Well,
I don't know why you would think that, but this is not a kids channel. We used to have a PSA that said that.
Yeah, and then people got mad about that. They're like, take that off of there.
Master Son says, do not take him to Cracker Barrel on Memorial Day. He will have a PTSD episode. I don't even know what that means, but like I said, that's where you take grandma. Like, I'm not going. James Salzberg says, Michael, do you have the Lego Lancia?
Oh, the one that's out for Speed Champions? I don't have that one. I'm waiting for them to do a Lancia Stratos, but I don't think they've done one yet. I know they have another Lancia out, but I don't have that one yet.
World Made of Cardboard says, my wife and I are looking forward to meeting all of you at Joe Fest and Valicon.
Likewise.
Same. Zantara says, good to see you all here streaming on the work table, and thank you for all the content that you do.
You're welcome, and thank you for always
just being there.
Yeah, just always. You're one of the community, the people that when the name comes up, we recognize.
We always
and know
get that warm fuzzy feeling when we see like all of you guys who are like our
friends.
Our friends.
Yeah,
we feel
those
like
familiar names that have just you know those people have been with you for years.
Yeah,
I'm thick and thin.
Through a lot.
I know, like I make this like analogy, like when we used to do
bad looks.
when we used to do Dragon Con and you get up on the literal stage and you'd look out into the audience and you'd see all these people who you've been hanging out with the whole weekend, and they're like your friends, but they're there and they're cheering you on, and so like there's never a lull like in the room, like so you feel that confidence to like go up there, and that's what you guys are for us virtually. Is like we see your faces in the stream and it's just sort of like, you know, oh, like this is cool, like it's fun for us too, because otherwise, you know, without that this could feel like just a lot of work. It's, you know, but it doesn't feel like that at all. So Reclaimers says
Reclaimers
IHOP is for tourists. We'll have to take you to Waffle House. It's like Walmart with diner food. So I don't know have you been to Waffle House?
No.
Because
but I totally understood that description.
I thought we took you there. So that's why when I said Waffle House earlier.
So that's like if you're in England and you've heard about, you know, British cafes, you know, cup of tea and a bacon and egg buddy cafe. And you say, I've heard all these stories about these English cafes, and then someone takes you to the cafe at Sainsbury's.
Right. Yeah. Waffle House is kind of like it's the 24-hour diner kind of thing. Truck stop off the highway kind of thing. You know.
Oh, like Little Chef then. Yeah.
Yes, like Little Chef. Yes, exactly like Little Chef.
Kind of covered in grease.
Yeah, like Little Chef. Yeah.
Yeah.
Scott Hughes says, did Tony get the flamethrower burger at Simplify? No, but I did.
Yeah, I remember that. I can't remember what it was called. I just wanted like a classic American cheeseburger, and it was called the Jolly something,
or something like that.
Yeah.
I got the flamethrower, but of course with an Impossible burger because But
and then I got a patty melt, and Tony for a second thought that my bread was made of chocolate
because it was a marble rye.
Yeah, I was like, Michael's having a burger in a cake.
Nothing more American than that.
I can't wait for dessert. I'm just gonna have dinner and dessert all in one go.
I'd like to have a big slab of cake with a burger.
Yeah. It looked. It looks,
it's a big slab of cake.
Wonka that thing
it's
up.
a big slab of cake with a burger with some sausage slices over it, smothered in butter and wrapped in a syrupy waffle.
Yeah, I was about to say maple syrup's got to be in there somewhere.
Yeah.
And then Raymond says, Michael, Melinda, and Tony, great to see you all. I'd love if a company like BBI Elite made a 3 3/4 international CRW elite unit line like SAS, GIGN, GSG9, etc. You are giving me a run for my money with these letters, dude. Michael, enjoy the goodies, and I'm still working on Kyle Katarn. I can't.
Kyle Katarn.
I should just let you read that one because.
So CRW is counter-revolutionary warfare, which is what most European military. Everyone's called it you're in the anti-terrorist unit. They don't call it that. It was from the 70s. It was counter-revolutionary warfare.
Right.
So yeah, the SAS, GIGN. I can't remember what country that is, but GSG9 is German.
Yeah.
GSG9 grew out of the failure of the Munich disaster. Pretty much after that, all of these militaries were like, well, we need to start doing something. Unfortunately, British already had something.
Sure.
And they accelerated their training, which was
right.
By the time the Iranian embassy came around, they knew what was.
They knew what was needed to happen. Yeah.
By the way, Scuba Pete really points out that they do have the donut burger at the State Fair, so that's kind of close.
What's that, like a burger and they just punch a hole in it?
No, it's on a donut.
Raymond, by the way, just thank you so much once again. Thank you one for the very kind super chat, but also just I cannot wait to start developing a video around the expanded universe figures, and this is going to take pride of place in my Indiana Jones media collection for sure. Thank you so much. What's that?
These come with like cardboard backdrops.
Yeah. It was back when the toy companies were still actually innovating.
That's really cool. It's like sandwich in it. Okay.
Yeah. Pretty neat. Makes me not want to open them because, like, oh, they're so cool. You know, it's a clip and collect card back. It's oh god. Okay, well, what's next? Are we doing the Patreon after show as is tradition?
Tony says yes.
Give me a minute to get it.
Well, yeah, we'll give it a few minutes. So what time is it right now?
It is 3:48.
3:48. So for all of you people on Patreon who remember how this works, give us about 15-20 minutes. We're going to post the link, and then we will be going live on Patreon, the RetroBlasting Patreon, for our after show, where
there will be profanity.
Where there will that too.
You're welcome, audience.
So
where we might open up that Aston Martin.
Yes.
Ooh, that would be fun.
Yeah,
that would be fun.
Let's open up the Aston.
Yeah, let's inject the henchman.
Yeah. Yahoo!
You have to do the sound effects.
Da, 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 da.
Like he needs to have like a cool Bond villain name, like because Odd Job. They always had these cool names,
right?
It's just a henchman. He could be like.
That's all he was, though. He was just a throwaway character, literally. Like
Yesterland Toys says, though I won't be able to attend Joe Fest, I will definitely be there in spirit. Hope to meet y'all someday. Have fun, and I can't wait to see the recap videos. And then Wolfie says, so great to see Tony at RetroBlasting again. Hope to see you guys at Valicon. Not sure if I can go yet. Yeah, well,
Alan Dawson is here.
Alan Dawson says GIGN is France.
Oh, yeah.
Whatever that means.
It's their counter-revolutionary warfare unit.
Oh, and Action Pop Dad says, I fucking love profanity. I know you do, Nick. I know you do. I feel you. I do too. So
that would be a really fun spoof on the Bespin freeze chamber moment, except it's not even romantic. It's just him
giving the finger.
It's Nick sitting there being held by stormtroopers, and he goes, I love profanity, and then it turns around and it's Melinda shackled up, and she goes, I know.
That is pretty good. And on that great disappointment,
on that bombshell,
on that bombshell,
I know, right? Yeah, I know.
We will see you, those of you on Patreon, in about 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So
we will compare this James Bond Aston Martin to a cheese and cucumber sandwich.
That's right.
God, now I'm hungry again.
See you then.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.